Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most pivotal moments in world history, the Battle of Adwa. This is the story of how Ethiopia became the first African nation to defeat a European colonial power. In this episode, we'll explore the genesis of the conflict, the immediate causes that led to war, the preparation and execution of the battle itself, and its far-reaching consequences. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Adwa remains a symbol of resistance and hope for Black oppressed peoples everywhere. In 1885, European powers gathered at the Berlin Conference to carve up Africa. This meeting formalized the rules for European colonization, driven by greed, competition, and the belief in white supremacy. About 13 European countries and USA participated in the conference, among which the prominent are Germany, UK, France, Belgium, Italy, Spain, and Portugal had their share from Africa, while the rest 7 countries, including USA and Russia, didn't get a share. During this time, Ethiopia stood as one of the few independent nations on the continent, including part of Eritrea as part of its territory. However, the scramble for resources and land would soon threaten Ethiopia's sovereignty. The conference set the stage for intense rivalry among European nations, each vying for control over Africa's vast riches. One critical event that shaped Ethiopia's role in this period was the Mahdist uprising in Sudan. This rebellion posed a significant threat to British and Egyptian interests in the region. To address this crisis, Britain, Egypt, and Ethiopia signed the Hewitt Treaty in 1884. Under this agreement, Ethiopia agreed to assist in evacuating besieged Egyptian garrisons through the port of Massawa. In return, there were promises regarding Ethiopian access to the port, and Bogos, currently in Eritrea, was handed to Ethiopia. However, once the evacuation was complete, the British handed Massawa to Italy, a move that violated the treaty and signaled the beginning of tensions between Ethiopia and Italy. The betrayal was as a result of the Berlin Conference that put white supremacy at its center over African countries. Italy's presence in the Horn of Africa began subtly, but grew increasingly aggressive. In 1869, the Italian navigation company Rubitino purchased land in Assab from the local sultanates Hassan ben Ahmed and Ibrahim ben Ahmed, 2 brothers. By 1882, these private acquisitions were transferred to the Italian government, setting the stage for formal colonization. With British support following the Hewitt Treaty, Italian troops landed in Massawa in 1885, establishing a military foothold along the Red Sea coast. From there, they began advancing into what is now Eritrea, then considered Ethiopian territory. This expansion did not go unchallenged. One of the earliest conflicts occurred at Dogali in January 1887. Ras Alula Angida, the governor of Tigray under Emperor Yohannes IV, confronted Italian forces attempting to consolidate their position near Massawa. Despite being outnumbered, Ras Alula's troops decisively defeated the Italians, eradicating nearly an entire battalion. News of this victory shocked Italy and marked the first major clash between Ethiopian and Italian forces. Tensions between Ethiopia and Italy reached a boiling point with the signing of the Treaty of Wuchal in 1889. This document contained a crucial discrepancy between its Italian and Amharic versions. While the Italian version declared Ethiopia a protectorate, the Amharic version made no such claim. When Emperor Menelik II discovered this deception, he rejected the treaty outright, leading to escalating hostilities. Italy's desire to establish a protectorate over Ethiopia clashed directly with Menelik II's determination to preserve his country's independence. For Menelik, the treaty represented more than just a diplomatic disagreement. It was an affront to Ethiopia's sovereignty and dignity. Meanwhile, Count Pietro Antonelli, representing Italy, tried to intimidate Menelik with threats of war. But it was Empress Taytu Betul who delivered a powerful response.
I am a woman, I don't want war, but I would rather fight and die than be enslaved by surrendering my country to foreigners. Count Antonelli, go. Let's meet on the war front.
Throughout Ethiopia, rallying the people to resist Italian aggression. With diplomacy exhausted, Emperor Menelik II issued a stirring call to arms in September 1895. His message resonated deeply with Ethiopians from all walks of life, uniting them in defense of their homeland. Menelik reminded his people of God's blessings upon Ethiopia, emphasizing that death was preferable to submission to foreign rule. He called upon those with strength to contribute their might, and those without strength to offer their sorrow for their children, wives, and faith. Menelik's proclamation was nothing short of revolutionary. It transformed ordinary farmers into warriors overnight, creating a massive army composed of diverse ethnic groups united under a single cause. By October, tens of thousands of Ethiopians had rallied to their emperor's banner, armed with whatever weapons they could muster, from modern rifles to traditional spears and shields. Their motivation was clear: defend their land, their culture, and their freedom at all costs. The Menelik's call word by word.
By God's grace, He has until now destroyed our enemies, expanded our territory, and allowed me to live. I have also, by God's grace, ruled until now. Even if I die from now on, I do not grieve for my death, for death comes to all. Moreover, God has never shamed me, nor do I doubt that He will shame me now. Now, an enemy who destroys our country and changes our religion has crossed the sea that God designated for us. I have watched the destruction of my country's cattle and the suffering of my people, and I have remained silent until now. But now, they have begun to dig into our land like moles. But now, with God's help, I will not surrender my country to them. People of my country, I do not believe I have wronged you in the past, and you have not offended me. Those of you who have strength, help me with your strength. Those of you who do not have strength, help me with your sorrow for your children, your wives, and your faith. But those of you who remain idle, you will quarrel with me later, and I will not leave you. By Saint Mary, I will have no intercessor for this. My campaign is in October, so people of Shua, I will meet you in Merilu by the middle of October.
Full-scale war erupted in late 1895, with Italian forces achieving initial successes against regional leaders in Tigray. At Kodet, Sanaf, and Debre Ala, Italian brigades pushed deeper into Ethiopian territory, forcing local warlords to retreat. General Orest Baratieri, commanding the Italian army, believed he could quickly subdue Ethiopia and annex its northern provinces. He even declared that Tigray province was annexed to Eritrean colony. However, his optimism proved premature. The tide turned dramatically at Amba Alajai on December 7, 1895. Here, Ras Makoan led a combined force of Shiwan and Tigrayan warriors against Major Pietro Toselli's Italian garrison. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, the Italians suffered heavy casualties, including the death of Major Toselli himself. Only a small contingent managed to escape, retreating to Mekelle under the command of General Giuseppe Aramondi. This victory bolstered Ethiopian morale and demonstrated the effectiveness of their decentralized military strategy. Following the defeat at Amba Alajai, Italian forces fortified an old church above the town of Mekelle, preparing for a prolonged defense. General Giuseppe Aramondi left a small garrison of approximately 1,150 Ascaris and 200 Italians there, commanded by Major Giuseppe Galliano, while taking the bulk of his troops to Adigrat, where General Orest Baratieri was concentrating the Italian army. Ethiopian forces, led by Ras Makoan, surrounded the fort at Mekelle on December 18, 1895. Empress Taytu Betul played a pivotal role in this siege, employing a brilliant tactic that would define her legacy. Recognizing the fort's reliance on external water supplies, she ordered her troops to cut off the flow of water to the Italian position. Without access to fresh water, the defenders were quickly weakened by dehydration and fatigue. Emperor Menelik II, known for his wisdom and compassion, extended an olive branch to the besieged Italians. He established contact with Major Galliano, offering him the opportunity to leave peacefully and return to Adigrat. However, the Italian commander initially refused, remaining defiant until the situation became unbearable. On January 21, 1896, With permission from the Italian High Command, Major Galliano agreed to surrender. In a remarkable display of mercy and magnanimity, Emperor Menelik allowed the defeated Italians to leave Mekiel with their weapons intact. He even provided them with mules and pack animals to facilitate their journey back to their main base. This act of kindness underscored Menelik's commitment to justice rather than vengeance, earning him respect both domestically and internationally. With the success at Mekiel, Emperor Menelik decided against pursuing the Italians further into Eritrea. Instead, he focused his efforts on consolidating his forces for the decisive confrontation ahead. In February 1896, Menelik marched westward toward the plateau of Adwa, gathering warriors from across Ethiopia along the way. General Orest Baratieri, fearing an invasion of Eritrea, abandoned his positions at Adigrad and moved his forces toward the Adwa region. Both sides prepared for what would become one of the most significant battles in African history, the Battle of Adwa. On March 1, 1896, the climactic Battle of Adwa unfolded in the rugged mountains north of Adwa town. Ethiopian forces, numbering over 100,000, faced off against approximately 17,000 Italians. Though vastly outnumbered, the Italians possessed superior artillery and modern weaponry. Yet, the Ethiopians held several advantages: intimate knowledge of the terrain, strong leadership, and unwavering resolve. As dawn broke, 3 Italian brigades advanced separately toward Adwa along narrow mountain paths. Their plan was to encircle and destroy the Ethiopian army. However, the dense fog and treacherous landscape worked against them. Wave after wave of Ethiopian attacks overwhelmed the Italians, cutting off communication between brigades. By mid-morning, General Baratieri realized the gravity of his situation and ordered a desperate counterattack. But it was too late. The fighting was fierce and relentless. Ethiopian warriors surged forward, wielding everything from rifles to swords and spears. They exploited the confusion among Italian ranks, isolating and annihilating entire units. General Albertoni's troop lost their strategic location and, found in wrong site, was easily penetrated by Ethiopians. Soon General Albertoni's forces compromised due to lateness of the reinforcement force from General Baratieri's command. At noon, General Albertoni was surrendered, and General Vittorio de Bormida forces smashed when unknowingly led into narrow valley. General Giuseppe Aramondi's forces tried to defend strongly for 3 hours, but seeing the situation, Menelik released his reserve force of 25,000 men, tipping the scales decisively in favor of the Ethiopians. Another brigade was destroyed by a devastating cavalry charge, while the remaining Italian forces were routed piecemeal. General Giuseppe Aramondi was also killed in the battle. General Baratieri ordered General Elena to cover the retreat, but before they could form up, their lines were broken by a flood of fleeing Italian soldiers and soon overwhelmed by the Ethiopian cavalry. By noon, the Italian survivors were in full retreat, leaving behind thousands of dead and wounded. Among the fallen were 261 officers, including the 2 generals, 2,918 white soldiers, and nearly 2,000 Eritrean askaris. Over 1,800 Italians and 1,000 askaris were taken prisoner, while the Ethiopians captured 11,000 rifles and all of the Italian artillery. The scale of the defeat stunned Europe and shattered the myth of European invincibility. News of the defeat sent shockwaves through Europe. In Italy, public outrage forced Prime Minister Francesco Crispi to resign. Demonstrations erupted in major cities, demanding accountability for the disaster. Young Italians protested, saying, "Viva Menelik." Imagine white youngsters who were brought up by white supremacy theory back in 1896, praising the black Menelik in their hometown. Across the continent, newspapers reported on the surprising defeat of a European power by an African army. Some expressed grudging respect for Ethiopian military prowess, while others downplayed the significance of the victory due to prevailing racial biases. Beyond Europe, the impact of Adwa reverberated globally. Britain and France quickly established diplomatic relations with Ethiopia, recognizing its status as a sovereign nation. For Africans and people of color worldwide, the victory served as a beacon of hope and inspiration. It proved that resistance to colonial domination was possible and that African forces could achieve greatness on the world stage. The Battle of Adwa remains a defining moment in African history. It preserved Ethiopia's independence, allowing it to maintain its unique cultural and historical identity. More importantly, it inspired anti-colonial movements across the continent and beyond. Leaders like Marcus Garvey and Kwame Nkrumah and Mandela cited Adwa as a source of inspiration in their struggles for liberation. Today, Adwa stands as a testament to the power of unity and determination. It reminds us that no empire is invincible and that every people deserve freedom. As we reflect on this remarkable chapter in history, let us remember the courage and sacrifice of those who fought to defend their homeland and the enduring legacy of their triumph. The Battle of Adwa wasn't just a military triumph. It was a triumph of spirit and unity. It reminded the world that African nations could stand tall and demand equality on the global stage. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to spread the story of Ethiopia's historic victory. See you in the next episode. Till then, like, share, subscribe to my channel.